Hi, my name is Satan Chen, and I'm a grad student in computer science at MIT. In my research, I focus on studying the mathematical foundations of machine learning. In my spare time, I like to play the piano. Now, thanks to the MIT Emerson Music Fellowship, a program that generously subsidizes free music lessons for all of its students, MIT has offered me a platform to pursue my passions in the classroom and out. Now, a lot's been said about the connections between math and music, but for me, what really ties the two subjects together is the way in which they offer these basic building blocks, whether it's trying to understand some abstract definition in some mathematical theory, or working through some technically tricky passage in something like the piece you just heard, Nikolai Kapustin's Eighth Etude in jazz style. Now, once we take these building blocks, the thing that ties math and music together is the way in which they challenge us to bring something new to the table, to bring forth fresh insights, to inspire others, and ultimately to create something fresh and exciting. And in a way, that's exactly what we do at MIT every single day. Now, it goes without saying, but one of the great things about being a grad student at MIT is just the sheer number of ridiculously talented students and faculty everywhere around you. But what's special about MIT is that they actually talk to each other. In my own research, I've seen a ton of interplay, not just within the EECS department, but across departments, and even bridging the gap between academia and industry. Now, there's probably a joke somewhere about a data scientist, a physicist, and a Fourier analyst walking into a bar. But at MIT, these kind of collaborations really do happen. Indeed, the way in which MIT places this sort of interdisciplinary exploration and collaboration at the forefront, rather than just relegating them to just mere buzzwords, is something truly special. I am so thrilled and excited to be a part of this event in Miami tonight, and to be celebrating with the Miami community. I'd like to introduce now our next speaker, our local MIT community leader, Judy Lewent.
Thank you, Satan. That was inspirational, both the piano playing and your comments and what MIT means to you. I only have one issue with the people who've organized this program, is that I follow you as opposed to get a chance to be ahead of you so that I didn't have to compete with that performance. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Welcome, President Reif and the MIT community to the MIT Campaign for a Better World event at the Alfred I. DuPont Building in Miami. This building, and for all of you cheering and all of us down here, I had the privilege of spending a few minutes with President Reif and asking him, what is MIT going to do to hold back the tides and prevent Miami from being subsumed by the oceans? But that's another challenge. This building also has relevance to MIT because Alfred I. DuPont actually attended MIT in the 1880s. So all roads lead to MIT. First, let me thank the MIT Club of South Florida, the MIT Club of Southwest Florida, and the MIT Club of the Palm Beach region for their support of this event. The turnout this evening, and the turnout is just amazing. I will tell you, a couple of weeks ago when I asked about the turnout, I was told 120, 150, and we have SRO here and, cresting over 300. It's just amazing. And the energy in the room that I felt, and your reaction right now, is evidence of the active engagement of the Florida MIT community and all of our interest in learning more about the Campaign for a Better World. My connection to MIT goes back to 1970, when I entered the master's program at MIT Sloan, which makes me especially proud to be here to unite Sloan and MIT the way it always should be. My experiences since then have epitomized the themes of this campaign: education, research, and innovation. At Sloan, I learned from true innovators in their fields and how to apply these insights with rigor to make a difference in my chosen field of corporate finance. I have continued my strong ties to MIT both philanthropically and educationally as a key part of my lifelong learning. As part of my decades-long involvement at MIT, I had the privilege of getting to know Rafael Reif when I was a member of the executive committee and Rafael was provost. So I can say in the first person that I was thrilled when Rafael was elected as president of MIT. Therefore, it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce President Reif, the person who is leading the charge at MIT for a better world. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for that wonderful and warm Miami welcome. Before I start, let me do a quick sound and accent check. Those of you way in the back, can you hear me? Raise your hand. Can you hear me? Oh, you're far away. Judy, thank you so much for the kind introduction and for your dedication and service to the MIT community. And as they say in Miami, muchísimas gracias. I also want to thank Judy and all the members of the host committees for bringing us all together and for your generous support of tonight's program. Thank you indeed very, very much. What a terrific gathering of MIT family and friends. Indeed, thank you so much for joining us this evening. As Judy said, or implied, this is, I can state, by far the largest crowd we have ever gathered for an MIT event in Miami. And I am also delighted to see quite a few red jackets out there. I love those red jackets. Thank you for joining us too. Well, the attendance tonight clearly shows that you all appreciate a good party, particularly one with great MIT content. And I would like to believe that it also shows that the MIT community is excited to come together and support the MIT campaign for a better world. Last September, the whole world had its eyes on Miami. Since then, the city has demonstrated exceptional resilience, creativity, and strength. So I find it especially meaningful to come together with our MIT family here tonight. As Tan just reminded us, the success of MIT depends on deep creative harmonies. The harmony between science and art, between exploration and making, between analysis and innovation. The harmony between mind and hand, and between mind, hand, and heart. But what inspires me the most is the harmony that unites us, all of us on campus and around the world, in support of MIT's mission. Like any great research university, our mission directs us to advance knowledge and educate students. And when MIT faculty pursue that part of our mission, they win Nobel Prizes, like the one in physics last October, or like the Turing Award for Sir Tim Berners-Lee last spring. And they also produce the kind of outstanding students and graduates who grace this stage and fills this audience tonight. But MIT's mission demands more from us. It demands more from us because it also insists that we bring knowledge to bear on the world's great challenges. Many of you here tonight are leaders in living out this mission. And today, as humanity faces profound challenges and opportunities, and while our nation faces serious soul-searching, I believe that research universities also need to be leaders. Leaders in education, leaders in research, and in particular, leaders in solving problems to make a better nation and to make a better world. And that's why in May 2016, less than 2 years ago, we launched our campaign with exactly this inspiration, a $5 billion effort that we call the MIT Campaign for a Better World. Tonight, we will hear 3 MIT stars share their stories, reflecting the 3 pillars of our campaign: education, research, and innovation. First, we'll hear from a recent graduate in city planning whose MIT education taught him the power of learning to see the world through other people's eyes. Next, a graduate student in Earth and Atmospheric Sciences will describe her research into the severe rain patterns that accompany hurricanes and that can trigger damaging floods. And a professor from MIT Sloan will explain how his innovative approach to measurement could help our society measure up to some vital goals. Of course, our speakers represent just a small sample of the brilliant minds and hands of MIT. Yet they are a perfect expression of MIT's signature values: excellence, meritocracy, boldness, humility, curiosity, a passion for difficult problems, and a strong desire to use their exceptional skills to do good for humanity. And if we are to live up to our great mission, they represent exactly the kind of talent we need and the kind of talent we need to support. Thanks to the kind of talent on display this evening, MIT has been from its very beginning a magnificent human machine for inventing the future. With that kind of talent, we can push past the boundaries of human understanding. We make new ways of seeing, and we see new ways of making. We inspire our students, and they inspire us right back. With that kind of talent, we can take on great challenges. And through clear-eyed, hands-on problem solving, we deliver new knowledge, new tools, new industries, new seekers, and new solutions. And we open wild new frontiers. When we bring these superb makers and doers to our campus, when they discover this creative community that embraces them, when they inspire each other to break new ground, and when we give them resources to fuel their ideas, there is just no limit to the good they can do. MIT's success in making a better world depends on them, but also on our capacity to give them the support and facilities they require to do their best work. And therefore, our aspiration to make a better world depends on all those who love, admire, and believe in the mission and values of MIT. People who choose to use their charitable giving to make a strategic difference, to be a lever for fundamental change. People like all of you here tonight. So this evening, as we marvel at these MIT stars, we should ask ourselves, what would it be worth? What would it be worth to make their dreams for humanity come true?
When it comes to education, MIT has always challenged the status quo, from pioneering hands-on learning to insisting that undergraduates could do frontline research. From the start, we saw education as an opportunity machine, and through MIT X and edX, we now offer the keys to millions around the world. As a community passionate about solving problems, we aim to help solve one of the oldest. How to make education work for everyone. More dynamic, more effective, more connected. And accessible to anyone, anywhere, of any age with talent, curiosity, and drive. Together at MIT, we aim to educate a new generation of explorers, designers, inventors, and problem solvers. From the world and for the world.
I am an architect by trade, and to some extent I used to think that architecture was pretty much only about creating buildings. But I later learned that the space around those buildings was more important than the building itself. But after my time at MIT, I realized that even more important than that space around the buildings were the set of diverse connections we found and we built in those spaces. My name is Carlos Sainz-Cache. I'm originally from Guadalajara, Mexico, and I see the importance of these diverse set of connections everywhere I go. For those who have been at MIT or have attended MIT, think about your time there and the experience of walking down the Infinite Corridor. The Infinite Corridor is our main street, and it connects us wherever we go and makes us take paths that might not be our usual paths on our everyday activities. Like, when I was a student, I remember sometimes having to walk through the physics department or walking across the material science lab because that was a way to get from one classroom to another. It's actually the physical and perfect representation of what we do at MIT. We walk through buildings, yes, but because we walk across disciplines, making connections. And I think we should be building cities this way. So after I graduated last year from city planning, I started working on a local Boston planning firm called Civic Moxie, where I'm the only urban designer there while also working along fellow urban planners. And I've been involved in some affordable housing projects in Boston. One particular project I've been working on that truly speaks to the essence of my work is a master plan for an existing senior housing project in the Boston area. Their residents are mainly first-generation immigrants, either from China and Russia. So, and this might not be a surprise, but if you don't know, Russians and Chinese cultures are quite different. And in this particular case, because this is a senior housing project, we're dealing with truly and deeply embedded different cultures after years and years of living this way. So this is where the exciting challenge comes in for me. I try to see the connections and the commonalities and try to build spaces to accommodate them both. So in this particular case, we noticed that Chinese love playing ping pong, and then the Russians actually enjoy watching them play. So we thought about creating a space where both things could happen at once, where Chinese were able to play ping pong, and Russians had a space to watch them play. The thing is, diversity has always been a powerful force throughout history. It brings good, but certainly not without reservations. Unfortunately, diversity can also empower fear. Too often, people seen as different is seen as a threat, as someone who takes resources rather than creating new ones. It's never easy to learn that what you've known as your perspective is not necessarily the only one. Cities thrive because of diversity. Just think about New York, London, ancient Rome, or Miami. They thrive because of diversity. They thrive because of all these diverse knowledge and visions that people bring and share to the city. Cities thrive, but also fall because of diversity. And it is important that it doesn't matter if you are an urban designer, an urban planner, an engineer, a physicist, or an economist, to learn the importance of these connections in order to create success and development. And it's as important as learning about your own professional field. Diversity of experience and diversity of people is what brings resiliency and vibrancy to a community. And because of diversity, MIT thrives too. When you get to MIT, you realize your colleagues have the same questions, and most of them tackle the question from different angles. And sometimes that leads to different solutions. And that can only happen with a different and diverse set of people. So the thing is, diversity triggers stuff. And that's normal. It's never easy to learn that one's perspective is not the only one. And that's my experience as a student, as a former student. MIT is building a community and individuals who understand this and who are going to go out to the world and make it better because of it. Thank you for being part of this community.
We all know that breakthroughs trace their origins to unfettered curiosity. At MIT, research is a fundamental value. Today's restless seekers are unlocking the mysteries of dark matter, detecting gravitational waves, understanding the intricacies of the ozone layer, and restoring memories in the brain. Where these discoveries will lead us, we don't know. They are wondrous gifts we will pass down through the generations. But we do know that at MIT, we have a history of translating these new insights into new solutions. And we know that today's students and faculty are energetically inventing the answers of tomorrow. Our relentless searching is an investment in our shared future and a better world.
I love hurricanes. They scare me, but I love them, and I always have. I remember being 7 years old, playing in my grandma's yard in Puerto Rico, when suddenly I felt a wind pick me right up off the ground. Hello, Hurricane Hortense. Very impressive. But there are also other kinds of hurricane experiences. 2 years later, we lost power for a month when Hurricane Georges passed over. It was only a low and Category 3 storm, but it dumped around 30 inches of rain in 2 days, causing catastrophic flooding and damage. Soon after, during a school trip to the Arecibo Observatory, I picked up a booklet, How to Become a Meteorologist, and I found it fascinating. It turns out it was a bit of a fortune cookie to my future. My name is Yamilet Perez Betancourt, and I'm an MIT student finishing my PhD about the spiral rain bands of hurricanes. But before I get into that, yes, my parents and grandparents in Puerto Rico are thankfully okay. Maria definitely upended their lives. But they are alive and fighting to get back to normal life on the island. My parents finally got their electricity back just before Christmas, and my grandparents got theirs back about 3 weeks ago. Okay, first, a few facts about a hurricane structure. Hurricanes have 3 main components: the eye, that calm area at the center, the eye wall surrounding the eye, where we find the maximum winds, and the spiral rain bands, where clouds organize to generate huge rainfalls. Now, those first 2 parts get a lot of publicity and study, but rain bands, strangely, not so much. Though the phenomenon was first observed some 70 years ago, scientists still haven't uncovered exactly how rainbands form and why they behave as they do. That's what we MIT people call a compelling problem to solve. I spent the past few years running models to test and often disprove the 5 dominant theories. And I've been so lucky to do so alongside a true rock star in hurricane research, Kerry Emanuel. Kerry is the reason I applied to MIT. I didn't think I'd get in, but I ran into him at a conference and invited him to check out my poster. He asked me to send him my research paper. I did. A few days later, I got my acceptance letter. His support and that of the entire MIT community have fed my determination to continue this research through the rest of my life. I have to. It's never been more important. As ocean waters get warmer, the intensity of hurricanes on average is expected to increase. And as we saw this past summer in Houston, it's not just the hurricane winds and the storm surge that are creating havoc and causing deaths. It's the flooding. In the case of Hurricane Harvey, almost 61 inches of rain, breaking the record of rainfall from a single storm in the United States. Rains created in those spiral rain bands. So, I remain committed to helping science understand them better. And I'm hoping to further this work right here in Miami. See, although I am a weather geek, I'm still a tropical girl at heart. So let's just say I won't be missing Boston blizzards and bomb cyclone snows. But what I will take with me and will always treasure are the opportunities, friendships, and knowledge I've gained at MIT. Your support really does help make dreams come true. Thank you.
You might say that MIT's greatest invention is MIT itself, a non-stop engine inventing the future. GPS, bioengineering, modern linguistics, space exploration, all courtesy of MIT. Now we are rebuilding that engine because the world has changed. At the very moment when humanity's greatest challenges require the boldest innovation possible, support has dwindled for good ideas that seem impossible. Ideas that require longer timelines and deeper investment. It is time for new thinking and new action. Time for faster innovation and more patient capital. Time for universities, industry, startups, and government together to unleash a new era of discovery and economic growth. It is time to innovate innovation. Because innovation makes a better world.
Hi, good evening. My name is Roberto Rigobon. I'm a professor of economics in the Sloan School. And I would like to start with a confession, this gathering. I am completely and absolutely obsessed with measurement. Yes, you heard correctly, measurement. I know that you are now regretting not having paid attention where the exit rooms are. But you know, actually, my wife will agree with you. This is conceivably the most boring topic in the history of humankind. However, the last 15 years, I have spent all my time thinking about measurement because I think we are lousy at it. We tend to measure very late. We tend to measure very infrequently. And we tend to measure only extreme events. Let me give you some examples. We rarely measure the quality of our relationship. We only know when it's broken. We do not measure sadness. We count cases of depression. We don't measure necessarily the pollution in a lake. We only know when we lose a lake. We don't measure when a society is upset. We count riots. We don't measure human rights violations like in my country, in Venezuela. We mostly measure genocides. We measure too late, severely too late. And to me, it's almost a miracle that we make good decisions in that case. So what I have been doing the last 15 years is try to think about how to do measurement differently. And I'm trying to think about measuring every aspect of life. And I know it sounds a little bit arrogant, but it is true. I am trying to measure differently inflation and GDP. I'm trying to measure household outcomes like stress, trying to measure, for example, consumer confidence differently. I want to measure also and help law enforcement. So I'm working with human rights, I'm working with human trafficking and the measurement of opioids. I'm also trying to measure aspects on organizations, like how you measure the morale of your labor force, how do you measure women discrimination, how do you measure the ethical behavior of companies. I know this sounds like it's all over the place, which for you that have taken classes with me, you know that I'm usually all over the place, so that should not be news for you. But truly, there's a couple of things that are common among all of these I mentioned, is the way we're trying to change the measurement. There are 5 principles of almost every aspect that I do in research. One is, I try to measure in a continuous manner. I try to measure trying to be non-intrusive. I want everything that we do to become open source and shared for free with everybody. I want to protect privacy. And what implies these 4 characteristics is that everything that we do will be imperfect. Now, in order to explain this, let me give you an example. Something that I think we all know and have somehow shared. It's about women empowerment. This is a research that I'm doing jointly with the Lincoln Lab and Sandy Pedlan at the Media Lab. How do we measure women empowerment nowadays in the United States? Well, we have 2 preferred measures. One is the proportion of women, and the other one is the number of cases that we have for sexual harassment. So first, cases of sexual harassment, that is by definition measuring too late. And do we agree on that? Okay. That is by construction extremely late. Second, I don't know, can women raise your hand here in Miami, please? Raise your hand really high. I just want to see how many hands I can see. Okay, that's about 40%. Whoa! That's so much better than New York. In fact, you know, New York sucks. Miami rules. Yes! I mean, now let's stop to think about for that in a second. Since when increasing the proportion of women from 25 to 40 implies that we treat women better? That statistic is only meaningful when you're close to 0 or close to 100. And those are our 2 best measurements. In fact, think about 3 years ago at Hollywood. Half were actresses and there were no sexual harassment issues. So clearly they were great. It just got bad in the last 6 months, my friends. We measure too late, too badly. How we want to do this measurement is that first, we want to look not necessarily at the final outcomes of the process of discrimination, but to think about the different aspects that lead to that final outcome. So we want to measure interruptions. We want to see when people are in a business environment, do you interrupt equally men and women? And in order to do that, we can either put 1 MIT student in every single meeting in the world, or we can collect the information electronically. We have chosen the second one. It's a little bit cheaper than paying all these euros. But truly, it's less intrusive. Most of the communications among companies today happen either in video conferences or teleconferencing. So we can tap into applications that measure the interruptions, that measure the airtime. Just to give you an idea, and in fact, I apologize for what I'm going to do. Every time I discuss this, it changes your behavior, but I think that actually changes the behavior for the best. Of course, the proportion of interruptions depend on culture, depend on gender, but on average, men interrupt women between 4 and 7 times more than they interrupt men, significantly more. And second, in a business environment, women tend to speak 15 to 30% less. I love those statistics that are statistics not about the individual behavior, but the behavior of a community. That's why I want to keep privacy protected, so we can actually gather the information and give that statistic back to the organization in such a way that I can measure how I'm treating women inside, in real time, by all our conversations, and then I can get it back. Because I believe that 99.99% of the people in the world are good people. If we just give them the statistic that highlights something that reflects an unacceptable behavior, we will change. I don't need to have enforcement. I need to have information that is actionable. And therefore, what I want is to be able to create these apps that we can plug throughout the world, that people can take them and put them wherever they want. I don't want to get paid on consulting. I don't want a company somehow that is not able to protect their minorities just because they cannot pay for a particular software. I want them to change the way. And by the way, the same happened with law enforcement. If we are able to find someone on human trafficking, I don't want to sell that to the police. Are you kidding me? This should be for free. And this is where you and MIT make this place so unique. This research will not happen without MIT. I'm an engineer from Venezuela. I'm such a great engineer that actually ended up as an economist. But you see, this research, if I look at any paper that we will write here, it would be a bad paper in economics. It will be a bad paper in psychology. It will be a bad paper in sociology. It will be a bad paper in computer science. It will be a bad paper. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't write it. MIT, the way I think about MIT is that MIT is about that research that is multidisciplinary, that is important, and that is thankless. We don't receive thanks for what we do. We don't care about that. We don't care about what is convenient. We care about what matters. And in that sense, all the last 15 years, I have benefited from your contributions, people exactly like you that have supported this research. We're not even close to where I think we have to be. So let me thank you also for the inspiration, the challenges that you will offer us in the future, and also the support that you will continue to give us to MIT so we can continue doing this. I believe that in the end, and let me just end up with this message, is that I think that in the end, we can make a better society, better communities, and better organizations if we can measure ourselves better. And a lot of the things that we call unconscious biases, the thing that we think that we do because we cannot control it, to me, most of them are unmeasured biases. So please, dust off your rulers and your tape measures, and let's start measuring everything we can. Thank you so much.
Let me add one more measurement. MIT is barely big enough for 2 Venezuelan professors. This evening, we have had an opportunity to sample the future as invented by the people of MIT. We have embarked on a bold campaign to deliver that future, a future in which we achieve our highest aspirations for the world. And tonight, we ask everyone here to join us in the challenge to raise the money we need to tackle humanity's great global challenges through the vision and talent of the people of MIT. 5 billion is a big number. But if that big number makes you feel that your gift is insignificant, I must tell you, just the opposite is true. As of March 2nd, the MIT community has come together to raise more than $4.1 billion. That's 82% of our campaign goal, through more than 91,000 individual gifts. In this race, the only way to get to the finish line is together. And if we each do our part, gift by gift, we will get there faster than you think. Many of you here have joined in this work already, and I thank you. I promise that your investment will bring huge benefits to humanity and that we will make you proud. As many of you have told me, your generosity to MIT has a simple inspiration. You know that at MIT, resources deliver results. And you have seen that a gift to MIT is truly a gift to the world. MIT was founded to accelerate the Industrial Revolution in America, and it did. Ever since, the people of MIT have been answering the biggest questions, inspiring brilliant students, and solving the hardest problems. And they have left society transformed. Today, the challenges the world faces are more profound than ever. To the people of MIT, humanity's urgent challenges are invitations to action. And MIT is ready. We see a future where fundamental science unlocks new knowledge and unleashes innovation, where climate change yields to climate action, where clean energy is as universal as the sunrise, where everyone in the human family can count on clean water and nourishing food. We see a future where smart cities inspire wise communities, where we detect disease before symptoms appear, where a vaccine for HIV is as routine as a tetanus shot, where cancer is reduced to an inconvenience. We see a day when Alzheimer's itself is just a memory, when intelligent machines and nano-everything help solve old, enormous problems, when good ideas don't languish in the lab, but flourish in the marketplace, when daring companies launch thriving industries and brilliant design improves our lives every day. We need to create a world where quality education is radically more accessible and massively more effective, where we can offer undiscovered talent from anywhere a path to a future of opportunity, and where millions more people have the tools to break free from the trap of poverty and achieve the dignity of a meaningful job. A future where prosperity is measured not in dollars alone, but in the currency of art and culture and the richness of human understanding. What would it be worth to create such a future? What would it be worth to educate the young people who will lead us there? Would it be worth to commit ourselves and finding others to join us to make a collective investment of $5 billion? I believe the answer is 5 billion times yes. Because we do see this future, but it will not happen without your help. The success of this campaign, MIT's success in making a better world, depends on the dedication and participation of each of you in this room. We need your excitement. We need your financial investment. We need you to inspire the whole family of MIT with your example. In short, we invite you to join us in inventing a better future for all. In the face of humanity's great challenges, the optimism, the hope, the inspiration, and the talent of the MIT community are what the world needs right now. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get this done.
Say you want a revolution, well, you know, we all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution, well, you know, we all want to change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? Alright. 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 You say you got a real solution. Well, you know, we'd love to see the plan. You ask me for a contribution. Well, you know, we're all doing what we can. But if you want money for people with minds like hate, well, all I can tell you is, brother, you have to wait. Alright. Alright.
What else can I say? All right. Thank you so very much, all of you, for coming this evening. If you know anyone who couldn't make it tonight, please tell them they missed a great party, and there is plenty of room for them to join us in creating and inventing the future, and join us for the campaign for a better world. Thank you so much for coming, and let's head now to the reception. Thanks again for tonight. Thank you.